I've got a special video for you guys today. Life is Strange Before the Storm is out right now on Xbox One, PC, and PS4, and I had the opportunity to do an interview with Deck 9, the devs for Life is Strange Before the Storm. So kick back, relax, and enjoy the interview. What's going on, guys? HazyRome here, and I'm hyped right now because I'm talking with some guys that are working on Life is Strange Before the Storm. Now, at E3 2017, I wanted to check out this game, and I did not get to. Came to SDCC, didn't see Life is Strange on the floor, banged my head against the nearest table because I was upset that I missed it. Talked to the PR team at Square Enix. They were kind enough to let me know that they were actually here. The team is here, and they're going to introduce themselves. So who we got up first?
My name is Zak Garriss. I'm the lead writer at Deck 9 Games, and you can call me Gare Bear.
Gare Bear. That was a good one.
I made that up. Let's go with that.
Gare Bear is fantastic.
Gare Bear. Yeah.
How you liking SDCC so far?
It's a magical place. I feel like David said this earlier. I think the nerds have won. That's what it feels like, and it feels good. Yeah.
Awesome. So on the other end, we've got David Hein. David Hein, the pressure's on. Gare Bear's a good name.
It is a good name. Yeah, David Hein, I'm the producer, and you can call me D Hein D9.
Ooh, that's like a call sign, man.
Yeah.
D Hein D9. I like that, man. So, I mean, tell me about the game. Tell us about, where you guys started off, how you guys got the project Life is Strange Before the Storm. There's a lot of pressure. Don't Nod obviously left off with the fantastic game. They're working on a sequel. Where do you guys stand in terms of, telling the fans out there, hey, we're going to do justice to you Life is Strange fans, and we're not going to leave you hanging with this story that we're telling?
Yeah, I think it's a huge pressure to be really honest.
And I just put it on a little bit harder.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think what Don't Nod accomplished with the first game is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And I think everyone at Deck 9, we love Life is Strange. We're fans. We were fans before we became developers working on this franchise. Sure. We're even bigger fans now. We've been trying to get into narrative games for a long time. We've built pretty robust tool system for telling cinematic adventure games.
StoryForge, right?
StoryForge. The man has done his homework.
I do my homework from time to time.
That's
Since
impressive.
I graduated from school. Yeah. I didn't do it in school.
Yeah. StoryForge. And I think that's kind of what put us on Square's radar. And the conversation started with that. And we talked about different stories we're interested in telling. And at some point the question came up, what kind of a story would you tell in Arcadia Bay? And we really kind of fell in love with Before the Storm as the kind of story we discovered there. Yeah.
Awesome. So, David, tell me, did you guys play the game first and then, hear about the opportunity to do this prequel game, or were you guys, kind of given the opportunity, or was it thrown out there by Square Enix and then you were like, let's play the game, get familiar with it, and see what we could potentially be working on?
Yeah, like Zach said, we'd been positioning ourselves to make these sorts of games for years, actually. Nice. And so we had been doing our homework, checking out all of the different types of games like this. Sure. And so I think just about everybody in the studio had actually played Life is Strange before we ever even sort of knew we might have the opportunity to work on something like this. Nice. And so, I mean, there's sort of like a little freak out moment when we're like, are you kidding? Like, we'll get to contribute to something that we love so much. Yeah. And I mean, seriously, it's true. We were fans first, and it's a tremendous pressure, but also a tremendous privilege to get to work in this space. Awesome,
man. I mean, that's great that you guys are able to work on something that you love so much. I mean, you don't really often you see a property out there. It's not very often you get to work on that same property and also create your own story and work on a character like Chloe that a lot of people love. And speaking of Chloe, I wanted to talk a little bit about that because some fans, I felt they might have been a little worried that Chloe was no longer being played by Ashly Burch. I think she's now played by Rihanna DeVries, if I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you for correcting me. How would you say that you're bringing Chloe's character from Life is Strange into Before the Storm, but at the same time, having her be 2 years younger, I believe, 2 years younger, kind of closer to her father's death, and the emotions she's experiencing from that. What is your approach in going into Chloe and her characterization here?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed it right there. Chloe has this strength in the first game, kind of born out of her. You can tell her hardship.
She's a badass.
She's been through some things, and she's a badass because of that. Yeah. So by moving backward in time a little bit, and we're looking at Chloe. It's actually 2.5 years. We're looking at Chloe when she's 16. The proximity of William's death is closer. It's more raw still, and the kind of confidence and kind of almost aggressive strength that she's found by the time that she's 19. She doesn't have that yet in our story. She's still kind of reeling from the fact that she lost her father, from losing Max, right? Matt, her best friend, moves away. Her mom, Joyce, is moving on, dating this new guy named David.
Seems kind of like a dick.
He's a little bit of a dick, yeah.
She said that multiple times, that he's a dick.
It's definitely her position on the matter. But she's alienated. She's alone. She hates school. She goes to this elite academy where she doesn't like anybody. No one gets her. She's really trapped in being sad and being unhappy and being angry. She's basically 16, right? I mean, that's a big part of what being a teenager can be like. Sure. So I think we're looking at a character who's younger, who's a little more vulnerable, who's a little more frail in some ways, and we're examining what it's like for her when this mythical figure shows up and gives her something, gives her an opportunity to fight for someone. And she meets Rachel Amber, she develops this relationship with her, and it changes Chloe. It kind of sets her on a trajectory that will ultimately arrive at that girl that we know and love from the first game.
So, I mean, in that respect, we're having Rachel, enter into the mix here. She's the main character, I presume, in the story. It's just kind of fleshing out her relationship with Chloe. Where's Rachel right now? Where's her characterization at this point in time? Where does she stand, and how does she relate to Chloe? How is she drawn to Chloe?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Rachel, we know from the first game, everybody you encounter has an opinion about her.
Right.
So she has this impact on that community, on Blackwell and Arcadia Bay, but you never get to deal with her directly. You never get to form your own opinion. So Rachel, at the time of our game, her life is seemingly perfect. She's the top of the social hierarchy at Blackwell. She's successful at everything she does. She's an actress. She's an academic. She's whatever she wants to be. She's kind of chimeric. She's almost magical in how she can be anything to anybody.
Sure.
And what we're examining with her seemingly perfect life, Chloe's about to discover that there's something going on in Rachel's world that's really hard. And Chloe's just spent 2 years living really hard. She knows what that is. So there's a strength that Chloe has that Rachel's discovering and discovering that she's going to need. But Chloe's a stranger to her. She's the kind of social misfit, the outcast at Blackwell. So at the time our game starts, the two girls don't really know each other. They just know a little bit about each other, and they're getting to know each other, and their very different lives are intersecting kind of at the same time.
Okay. So, David, tell me a little bit about some of the auxiliary characters in the game. Obviously, I mean, the demo I played, it had a character in there that appeared in Life is Strange. You didn't even know he could be the kind of guy he showed himself to be in the demo that we played, speaking of Frank, obviously. So can you tell us about some of the auxiliary characters, how you're going to be fleshing out the other characters in Arcadia Bay, and, kind of giving us a deeper look into, that town and that atmosphere and the people around there?
Yeah, so I mean, you'll get to see a lot of familiar faces. You'll get to see Frank. You'll get to see Joyce and David, and a lot of. We go to Blackwell. A lot of the students there. We get to see a lot of familiar faces, but they're not the same people that we actually knew. It's 3 years earlier. So Joyce isn't married. She's just dating David, and so we get to see these characters that we know go on an arc that shows us who they became and who they are at the start of the original Life is Strange. Sure. As well as familiar faces, we've got a bevy of new characters to the story that will be, I think, really compelling to the story of Rachel, who she is, who is Chloe, and their arcs will also define the arcs of our two main characters as well.
Sure. Awesome. So, another question I have in regards to, the characters and the role they play in, I guess, shaping this prequel. You guys kind of have a difficult spot in the sense where it says that you know where these characters are going to be. How do you take a step back without letting players feel that they know exactly what's going to happen with these characters because they've played? Because that's the problem with prequels. That's always the crux of prequels, where you know what's going to happen, you know, in a sense. Right. How can you tell a story that still leaves us captivated and wondering what's next?
Yeah. So I think choosing the time and the setting is crucial for that, right?
Absolutely.
So we're situating our story very deliberately 3 years before the events of the first game. So the end of our story is not the beginning of the first Life is Strange.
Okay.
Our story is occupying this space that even Chloe, in talking to Max in the first game, was vague about. Rachel was so important to Chloe in a lot of ways. I think one of the signs of that is that even with Max, she didn't reveal the details of what her relationship with Rachel was like. She kept that private. That was just for her. That's created a space of freedom for us where we can explore what that is, and we can invite the player to practice agency in determining for themselves what was that relationship like with Rachel. The conclusion of that story it kind of falls within that kind of unknown territory. So fans of the first game, they're not going to know how Before the Storm ends. They're going to be confronted with choices they have to make with uncertainty, you know, not knowing exactly how it might conclude.
Sure. Awesome. So I want to ask about Ashly Burch. We know that she's been brought on as a consultant, a writing consultant. What type of role is she serving with the team? How is she affecting, or how has she affected how you've written Before the Storm and your approach to Chloe? Because obviously she's giving some insight into who she is, kind of helping you get into the psychology of Chloe's character. So how has she contributed to the team and creating Before the Storm?
Yeah, so we've reviewed. She's reviewed every line of dialogue, every script. We've sent her every page and different stages across all 3 episodes. And she's a writer in addition to being a really phenomenal voiceover actress. Sure. And I think her insight comes from this incredibly personal relationship that she has with Chloe, but also in terms of craft. Like she's just an excellent writer. So we've shared high-level story concepts of what we want to do with the character, all the way down to individual dialogue lines and VO lines of what's going on inside of Chloe's head. And she gives line notes, and we talk through kind of what's going on in this scene, what's going on in this episode, what is her perspective and take on kind of the journey we're taking Chloe on. So having her kind of challenge some of our assumptions has been really productive. Having her really excited about the things that we're doing has been incredibly affirming and kind of confirmed that we feel really excited about the story that we're telling here.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about what Rihanna has brought in the role. How is she different from Ashly? David, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, Rihanna's tremendous. So she's does both the mocap and the VO for the character. Okay. And so, what's really special about that is that it brings not just the VO performance, but also the body performance, which is so much of someone's, character and their personality and who they are, right, is just how they act, how they move, and all of that. And so she's helped carry the whole character of Chloe throughout all 3 of our episodes, both physically and with her voice. And so I think that having kind of that cohesion is something that adds a lot of value to our representation of the character.
Cool. I want to ask you guys a little bit about the mechanics of the game, okay? So Life is Strange did something really different with Max and having her have the ability to rewind decisions. Chloe's not Max. It's also called Before the Storm, so we know there's no powers involved here. So how is Chloe different in terms of the storytelling route that you're going to take? How is not having that mechanic shaped how you being fans of the original Life is Strange? How does that affected your approach to Before the Storm?
Yeah, so I mean, we don't have a rewind power. We don't actually have a power at all. Sure. And that was a conscious decision. Rewind felt like an embodiment of Max's personality, right? She was a cautious person. She would second guess a lot of things. So having the ability to rewind it embodied who she was. Sure. And it became the lesson that she sort of had to learn over the course of that game. I don't want to sort of spoil too much for those who haven't played it. Yeah. And so when we first started sitting down to talk through the concept and the story at a high level, one of the things that we talked about is, it wouldn't really make sense for, some of these different characters to have a power. Chloe didn't seem to, it wouldn't have fit canonically, right? Chloe didn't seem to have met anyone with powers before or have a power herself. And so it just wouldn't have made sense, as well as we wanted to really focus on what made the first Life is Strange really so special and made the fans love it so much, which was interesting characters and difficult choices and relatable moments. And so that sort of allows us to focus on a bit more intimate level. We don't have a cataclysmic storm, but we do have, choices that I guarantee players will antagonize over. Some of the choices that we make about our friends, our family, who we choose to love, those are some of the hardest choices that we make in our entire life. It doesn't have to have a quantum tornado coming down to make it matter.
Zach, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, just to say, I think David nailed it. I think the rewind power is great for Max's personality. Our guiding principle with Chloe and the mechanics of how we kind of design challenges for her and ways that she can overcome obstacles and solve puzzles is to embrace who Chloe is, in the same way that I think rewind is an embracing of who Max is. Chloe doesn't need to learn that actions have consequences. Chloe doesn't care. She just barges through problems, knocks down walls, and she's going to deal with whatever consequences come her way.
She's a force of nature in her own right.
She's a little tiny tornado, is what she is. That's true.
Yeah.
So I think what Chloe's learning and the mechanics and the design that we've embraced to kind of help her learn that is just how to deal with people, how she deals with people, how she interfaces with them, how she uses them or doesn't, and how she relates to Rachel Amber above all else.
Awesome, man. Thank you guys so much. I had some other questions just about you and your team, Deck 9, how you guys interact, how you got to this point. I mean, how you guys as a team approaching this game. Tell us a little bit about, kind of like a day in the life of Deck 9, making Before the Storm. How are you guys feeling working on this? Are you resonating with any of the characters? How do you feel personally about the journey you've been taking as you've worked on Before the Storm?
So I can speak for the story team. I'm not the only writer, right? I'm the lead writer, but we have a writer's room. We have a team of writers, and I think so. I think for us, it's been an extraordinary journey. The characters are so real. Chloe's become a part of our world every single day, in an incredibly intimate story, a sad story, a fun story, a funny story. An angry story. I mean, it's occupying the space that she's in for the last however long we've been working on it now. It's been an incredible challenge because grief is such a big part of her world right now. Grief is so simultaneously private and personal. We all grieve in our own ways,
sure,
and universal. We all grieve, right? So I think for us as a team, we've really learned to trust each other and to share as writers and to kind of share openly our experiences with grief, which is such a personal thing, in how we're fashioning the realism of the story, and at the same time to leverage our perspectives, because we all come from different walks of life. We have two dudes on the team and we have two ladies on the team, and that's been really important for us. Sure. I'm the lead writer. I'm not the only writer. I'm not a 16-year-old girl.
Evidently.
I can relate to Chloe in a million ways, in so many ways. But that doesn't mean that I am not privileged in certain ways as well that might prevent me from understanding some of the things that someone in her shoes would be going through. And so the key there is that I have a team that I trust who can challenge my presumptions and kind of help make the script bulletproof, help increase our sensitivity, our thoughtfulness, our deliberateness, and how we're exploring these kind of social spaces and asking these questions that I think games need to ask more questions about representation, about sort of how we use games to explore issues that we're dealing with culturally, and how we do that thoughtfully and how we do that carefully. And I think that just lives in that kind of trust that we have as a story team, and I think as a studio at Deck 9, for sure. We really do kind of believe in each other, and at the same time, from that place of belief, can healthily challenge each other and to try to make it better, you know.
Here, Gary Bear. I like that. That was great. Hein, D9. Tell me what you think, man.
Yeah, no, so one of the best parts about my job is I get to interact with every single, across all the departments with every single person in the studio.
Sure.
Just helping everybody get coordinated. And so, I think what's truly tremendous about every single day at Deck 9 is, every single person from an environment artist to a level designer to a programmer to a cinematic artist, they all love the game so much, and they all take so much ownership over the little tree that they're working on, right?
Sure.
If we're making a big forest, it's every single person has their little piece that they're pouring their heart and their soul into, and so it's so cool to step into each person's little tree that they're cultivating, and then take a step back and start to see that forest start to form, and so it's a serious joy to come into work every single day.
All right, I'm being told to wrap it up here. I saw from my peripheral that we're running out of time here, but I had 2 quick questions for you guys. It's 2 because 1 question for you, 1 question for you.
Sure, let's do it.
Lead writer, what are some of your favorite writing pieces within a game? What games can you recall off the top of your head that had amazing writing, stellar writing that you personally take inspiration from?
I'm gonna go old school and say Baldur's Gate.
Ooh.
Drop a mic on that.
Yeah.
Drop a mic on that, man. Oh.
Now the pressure's really on.
Now, David, are there any other studios that you admire that work cohesively as a team? I mean, obviously, you guys in the industry, about other teams and the products they put out. Are there any other teams that you admire personally that you take as inspiration for your job on a daily basis?
Yeah, gosh, that's such a tough question. I mean, you interact with so many outstanding people in this industry, so many outstanding teams. It's kind of hard to pick one over the other.
Sure. It's a very diplomatic answer.
Thanks. Yeah, it's too hard to choose.
Too hard to choose. All right. We've got Gare Bear here. We've got Hein, D9 here. Thank you guys for the love. Appreciate it, man. Good luck.
It's a pleasure.
Good luck with Life is Strange Before the Storm.
Thank you.
I hope to be checking that out. Coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Steam. We'll see you guys on the next one.